As I mentioned earlier today, Bradford Ferguson was going off to a robot factory and he was going to be late tonight. Well, I think possibly the robots have grabbed him. I'm not sure. No, actually, the truth is, it may be the truth. Anyway, he's claiming at least that he is being held up in flights that are not getting where they need to go as quickly as they had planned, and therefore he's not going to be able to join us tonight. I've invited him to come on Friday night because normally Larry's on Friday night, but Larry will be on Saturday morning. So anyway, that's the schedule in case you care. That might be happening. So I've got, though, the best stand-in you could ever have on Good News Thursday, and that's Brian Wang. How you doing, Brian?
Doing great. It's a good day.
How great are you doing, Brian? I mean, come on now. How much better does it get than this? We've gone up now from 230-ish
Mhm.
to 470 in how long?
370, 370. Yeah.
370, 370.
That was like 230 would be, I think, just before the election. And then, so it's what, like a month, a month.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is just
Really good day. Really
just
good.
crazy. All right. So, what I want to talk, so we will talk about any news you might have heard, news I might have heard in a minute, but I wanted to start off tonight because you and I have ever since we've known each other, and you were one of the authors in the Elon Musk mission, so we've known each other a while, and we've been trying to figure out the future together for a while. We're not that far off in our prognostication with regard to the stock price. Now, I've been saying 300, 300, 300, and all-time high by the end of January. So we've already gone past my number like crazy, and I don't take any credit for that. I had no theory that we would be at these levels by now. You, on the other hand, before the election, your prediction was
450 by end of January, first week of February.
450 instead of my 410 or
Right.
411. Okay, so you were higher than me by the end of January. So you didn't
Mhm.
have a year-end number.
Year number. Yeah, I didn't have a year number. No.
Okay, all right. So basically, after seeing this run up, where we're now sitting at 370, are you changing your numbers for the end of January?
Um, I'm not going to change it. It very likely could go to 500.
Okay.
Um, but it's getting and holding depend upon, I chose end of January, first week of February because you'd have the January 2nd volume number out and you'd have the earnings out. I expect the earnings to be out, and not just the earnings, but good guidance going
Right,
for the year,
right.
right? So that's my expectation of why you would get, really good stuff.
And that would
The
be you and I would be on exactly the same path. Okay.
Right, right. And so those are things that I see. And we had the great run up. It's in anticipation of the FSD 13 going wide, 13.3, it being great, and then the improvements, and more institutions seeing that the robotaxi, ARK Invest type story is clearly playing out, right? So more and more are seeing that happening. And then not only that happening is that more of them would know that licensing will happen soon, right? So I can't see it taking longer than you know, February, March for the licensing waves to start. So the licensing waves is basically like the supercharging wave that happened year and a half ago, where Ford and then all the other car companies in the United States all said, okay, we will do Tesla supercharging. Your charging system's the best. 80% of what's out there, we need to use it, even though that wasn't money, huge money in Tesla's pocket. Um, Even now, it still was a capitulation of the old car company. And when they capitulate on um, FSD and robotaxi and all those systems, because that also means the operating system of the car, then that is far bigger because that's basically like putting the old Intel inside, the chip and the micro operating system inside every computer. So Intel then went inside everything back then, right? So Tesla would go inside everything, every car, right? So it would take time for that to occur, 5 years, whatever, right? But it would just mean that the analysts would have to say, okay, now every car, whatever the market is, 50 million cars, 100 million cars, and trucks, every new vehicle would have a Tesla chip inside, Tesla operating system, and Tesla FSD slash robotaxi, right? And all the vehicles become robotaxi. So that means they would win everything. And you would have the traditional companies sharing their profit, whatever their vehicle is, plus a share of the FSD revenue, but then the bulk of it would be Tesla.
Okay, so if I look at the Tesla fundamentals today,
Yeah.
and I believe that the stock market does take into consideration optionality. A lot of
Mhm.
people are like, oh, what these dumb guys in the stock market, if they can't put it on a spreadsheet, then they don't believe it's true. Well, I don't think that's true. I think every single serious stock analyst takes into consideration optionality of things that are not yet, actually products. And in particular, when you're talking about an Elon Musk that has a track record of executing in ways that are beyond belief, then
Yeah.
you place some optionality on that, or else you're not a player. You're not in the game. So
Right.
I believe there's optionality. So I would say maybe I'm figuring about $250 of the current stock price is cars and energy. Just a normal continuing 20, 30, 40% a year increase in car volume and a 100% increase probably for a couple of years on energy, maybe more in profits. Even if it's not units, it'll be profits, it'll be over 100% a year. Just take that, put that on a spreadsheet. I think you can get to $250 pretty easily. So the rest, $120 right now would be optionality. And I'm seeing that as divided between what you just said. So you got robotaxi, you got FSD uptake, which is pretty huge. If the FSD uptake increases to 50 or 60, you talk about it all the time, it might be higher than that. And so you get the FSD uptake, you get the robotaxi, you get the licensing, and then you've got Optimus. Now,
And also 30 to $50 for energy.
and $350 for energy?
30 to $50 for energy.
Additional optionality based on even more
Also
dramatic.
the existing
Oh,
energy profits, and then plus what the growth they see there on energy
okay.
is, I think, $30 is just straight up energy is making money,
Okay.
right? And then some extra increase for some level of growth
All right.
energy.
So if I look at those six things or whatever, and that doesn't even count dojo, that doesn't count energy as a business, as a retail or wholesale business. I mean, some of these things are just massive, the potential out there, but we'll leave those off the table for now because I don't think the street is looking very hard at their retail and wholesale energy business. So if we take those five or six that we just went through, the shocking part would be that it's only $120 in
Yeah, right,
because
right,
we're talking about 120 billion, 130 billion, and people were willing to give Rivian 100 billion in optionality when they didn't have a car or a factory.
right, right. I think it's because of the whole PTSD around the 2 years of things being bad, things being late, that they're reluctant to do that. Also, it's like there's no benefit for someone to get way ahead of it. If they buy stuff and get a position, then why do they need to overbid to keep getting it more, right? The ones who see it can accumulate their position, and then the ones who don't, well, they're not in there yet, right? So there's a lot who are not in to it yet.
So today we had Bank of America, and I thought this Bank of America note was amazing. Now, it wasn't amazing because it was more that it revealed anything new. It wasn't amazing because it was written more cleverly. It was amazing because it was really kind of the first mainstream, not Tesla bull, not a Dan Ives, to say, look, there's really a significant potential here for Optimus and for Robotaxi. and
Mhm.
we're going to raise our price, even if it was only $50. They raised it to 400, putting them as one of the highest PTs on the market. So what did you think about the B of A letter today?
I think the well, I think some of the analysts, like the RBC, World Bank analyst, I mean, I can't pronounce the name, but some of them know like this full theory because it's how hard is it to watch our videos, right?
Right.
They can
Yes.
if they couldn't figure out themselves, they can watch the community and know, like CERN Basher's got all those great numbers, stuff like that. It's easy to do it. So, and there's like the one who's on Herbert's channel, Hale, from Quebec, oh my God, Simon Hale. So analysts can figure this out and they can hear someone else's analyst, and then they can say, okay, that makes sense. I need to put 0 probability or 1% probability on it for now. It's in there. I know what it is. I put low probabilities on it in order to zero out what is so huge. 'Cause I
Mhm.
don't want to put too much optionality on it, like you're saying. I want to come back out to 120, 150, right? So they jigger their stuff up to get to that. So the ones who do know it are just doing this, just staying ahead of it and saying, yes, I'm going to buy. But it's also like, what is it, only 1/3 of the analysts. So I think out of like 35, there's like 12 who have a buy on it.
Yeah.
So if they don't have a buy, then they're not like, they don't see the picture and they want to accept it. And they don't even have this more complicated thing. They're like looking at 100 stocks and they haven't gotten Tesla. Of the 10 who have figured out, I would say maybe half
Mhm.
really understand it. And you can see that in, what Pierre Ferragu, there's some guys who we know
Sure.
pretty much have it understood to that. Even if they don't want to put numbers on Tesla bot, they're fully aware what the potential good scenario is. And I would suspect that Pierre Ferragu would have, here's what that looks like if it starts playing out. But they
Well,
don't want to trigger it.
yeah.
Yeah. They want to trigger it because if they start saying, okay, it's going to happen by 2026,
Mhm.
right? Full robotaxi, and then you say, okay, $5 trillion, you can't discount it enough to come back. You say, okay, it should be a $4 trillion stock, right? Because it's going to be 5 trillion in 2026, so it should be 4 trillion now. And they can't say, okay, yeah, we should triple or like triple the stock right now when you'd want to like pace it as it happens. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of come back again, so I see that, like Dan Ives, he says, let me put a 600 price target on this thing. He
Yeah.
doesn't say it formally, but
Mm.
he says, yeah, it could be 600 by the end of next year.
Yeah.
And he needs to formalize it. He needs to say, no, that's my price target. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, but everybody else is around 4 or lower. But again, most of the point I was trying to make about the Bank of America note was that this wasn't one of the known bulls. Now, Craig Irwin coming out the other day and switching from bear to bull, that was probably impressive for the fact that he made the switch. But
Mm.
Craig Irwin is not an impressive analyst.
No.
So
Right.
not sure how much credibility that the stock got or that anybody took with regard to Craig making that switch. But Bank
Mm.
of America coming out with this report today, to me, would have the kind of credibility where everybody's going to have to at least stop and look again. And I
Mm.
think that's why we saw the 13-point move or 12-point move today,
Right.
uh, was because of its Bank of America.
Right. Right. I think that people don't fully, the analysts who spend the time on it, most of them haven't fully figured out because there's so much of Tesla to figure out, right?
Yes.
There's so much stuff going on. There's also so much stuff in xAI and SpaceX and that kind of stuff. And so, that's where we come in to figure that stuff out. But I don't think any of the analysts are to the Cern Basher level. I think Cern Basher, who operates wealth advisory and stuff like that, and management, him and Bradford Ferguson, those are the guys who are at least, you know, there, who are fully aware of what's going to happen, and they pop into the models, and what comes out, and then they'll back into it. How that translates into recommendations, like the whole analyst recommendation world is just something where they can't, um, you know, even if they believed it, they wouldn't be able to say it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Yeah, okay. Right. All right. So, in terms of anything else that was going on today, did you see anything else that would have triggered because the market was flat?
Mhm.
I'm sure the market's flat in anticipation of tomorrow's jobs numbers, but the market was flat, but Tesla went up 13. Did you see anything else that you think would have been pushing it higher today?
I believe it is the FSD 13 that that general how good it is, and people who take the time to look at all the videos, hours of videos showing how great it is and how it's got reverse and the getting to feature complete, maybe not to full safety yet. They don't know about how much safety there is. Um, Brad Gerstner buying $1 billion of it, so they can see someone with a lot of money, more than most of them, going in really heavy on it. And so if they don't think, well, what do Randy and Brian know? But they look at Brad Gerstner, oh, he made $10 billion or whatever, and has put $1 billion into it. That kind of like makes them start hurting towards, here's why I need to actually study this a lot to try and get onto that. And then they may have disrespected ARK Invest and Cathie Wood, but then they can see Brad is basically saying that Cathie Wood's thing is going to come true, right? So then it's saying it's next year. It's not like 5 years from now, because
Right.
Cathie was saying 5 years from now. But now it's like it's 1 year, and they're both saying 1 year. It's kind of like it's happening, and we've been anticipating it for a while. So now the message was it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and then when it's going to happen with these things happening, and so they see, oh yeah, the two dominoes have dropped. We're about to see the rest of them start going, right? So they would have that awareness that, and then the fact that we're, nearing all-time highs again, they would have to start thinking, one, I missed the boat again, right?
Mhm.
The FOMO, fear of missing out thing of like before at the beginning of the year, they can say, oh, Tesla has gone from 250, in beginning of Q2, we're down to 170, 140, and it's negative compared to the S&P 500. But as of a couple months ago, we passed the S&P 500, so we're up like what 60% relative to 30% for the S&P 500. So there's something called window dressing at the end of the year where funds would need to say, I didn't get into Tesla, I didn't believe it. But now, if I don't have my fund and people think it's going to double next year, then they can say, hey, you underperformed, you didn't have Tesla, but that was a flip from like up until like 3 months ago, it was like underperforming
Right.
the S&P 500. It was negative up
Right.
until
Right.
I don't know, August or whatever it was. And so now it's not only do we come back up through where those other things were, so then they're chasing it again. And a lot of them probably missed Nvidia, right?
Yeah.
Where like Nvidia 10x, and then their clients are saying, you underperformed the market, you didn't do this and that, you weren't in Nvidia, right? Because it's like the market was basically be in the Mag 7, right? And be in Nvidia, right? And then maybe a couple other names, right? It's a small handful of things. So if you had some other thesis, oh, I'm in small stocks and foreign and all these other complex things that worked over 40 years, it's like all you got to be in these stocks. And now you had to add in Nvidia 2 years ago, and you need to add in Tesla again. It was in before, you popped it out for 2 years, now it needs you back in. And your timing was you didn't hop back in soon enough. So now they have to hop back in because not only is it moving up to all-time highs and going up 80% over where it was at the beginning of the year,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then next year could double. It's like they have to bandwagon in, and it's like, and they need to do it before they report at the end of the year.
Right.
So that's where all-time highs are very likely. Like I didn't have one before, but the getting over um, well over where the S&P 500 performance is, or the
Mhm.
or the Nasdaq performance
Right.
means another plus 10%, you know, these last 3 weeks because all the big money's got to get in.
Again. Um, so then um, Elon Musk has been on television or on in the news, gotten it was like 20 times more coverage than
Mhm.
the next CEO of any company. I should have brought the numbers. It's just astronomical. It's like one of those charts where Elon's here and then it drops down like here and then with the other. So I have been stating for a while now, he's got over 200 million followers on X. He's in the papers every day. The brand awareness, Tesla brand awareness is going up by the jillions every single day. Whether people buy or not, they're at least going to know the brand. I mean, we're talking about a brand that was already, I think it was already in the top 25 brands in terms of recognition anyway, and also a very positive people saw it positively. Um, I mean, the Tesla brand, at least in the United States and maybe worldwide, could soon be one of the top 3 or 4 brands, up there with what is the, I guess Coca-Cola,
Apple,
Apple, Coca-Cola still.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So,
so this has got to impact. I would again think that people that know the marketing side, people that are
mhm.
more the marketing side of some of these investing companies would be looking at that and saying, well, once you've got that brand recognition, now you plug and play with the next product.
Right. So the when they have done the impossible and they have robotaxi, they'll be the only autonomous vehicle around, FSD all working, that just changes everything. It's not like I have a car, you have a car. No, I have an autonomous car, and then it's like Elon talking about, you have a horse and then I have a car, right? It's not the same thing. So that utter transformation basically happens next year. And that's what the investor Chris Camillo, who went from 20,000 to 60 million, and he's saying that he was wanting to do this all-in bet on Tesla bot, but now he has to do an all-in bet on robotaxi because it's happening too fast and it's gonna, potentially move the stock up to, you know, $5 trillion or something like that in a hurry, or 6 trillion, $7 trillion. So that could happen over the next 2 years, which would be 10x from where we were a month ago, still 7x from where we are now, or something like that. So it's these huge, huge moves that will occur because people and when they recognize that, then the brand thing will be clear. Like, Elon's brand went up before when, okay, he makes the EV popular, Model 3, Model Y, he lands the Falcon 9. That was like, okay, he did all those amazing things that no one else could do. And then for a while, not so much the miracle, right? But now we're coming into robotaxi, we're coming into Starship, we're coming into that next wave of crazy innovation stuff where we're going like the S curve of like boom, and now we're going up again. So his popularity around that, you know, well, people could have issues around his popularity, but the undeniability of his products,
Right.
like this, I have, friends and other people who bought the Tesla cars, the 3, the Y, the S and X, but they may not have liked Elon. They don't
Right.
have to like Elon.
Oh,
I buy products. I didn't like Bill Gates. I still bought his PC, right?
right.
Because it was a thing. It was
Right.
like, okay, this is what works. This is what I had to get. So
Right.
it becomes like no, when you make something so category killing, that has to happen. So I think he's gonna kill categories. It's gonna go completely next level, and so it won't be just because the brand that they buy. It's because the technology, it's like Apple iPhone versus Nokia or more flip phones. It's not the same thing anymore. So the products will speak for themselves again.
So, Brian, let's be crazy because you and
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like to be just crazy.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, that 14, version 14, or, the FSD V14, 14.1, 14, whatever, is perfect. I mean, it's just perfect. And so everybody knows, even if Elon hasn't said it yet, but maybe he says it. Hey, it's unsupervised now. So let's go crazy.
Mm.
It's unsupervised. Elon goes out, he says, okay, you can ride in the back seat now. We will cover the insurance whenever FSD is on the unsupervised. And Robotaxi, now that unsupervised is available, we're in 30 days, we're going to start Robotaxi. He says all those things. All right. I want to go crazy here. The 2.5 vehicle is exposed. It's revealed. We see it. The price is good. The looks are beautiful. It has the features everybody wants. Everybody's like, yep, that's a great car. Juniper is revealed. Juniper has a great look to it. It's really, has all the features that we were hoping it would get because they've already got them on the Highland. And so all these releases happen. And then you get two or three companies, just one, we'll just do it with one company says yes to a licensing deal on FSD and, as you mentioned, the operating system. So you got one licensing deal. Anything else going to happen? Those are the main things, right?
Yeah, the main things.
Okay, so all of those things happen over the next 3 months.
Okay.
Where's the stock?
I think the stock is at $1,000 to $1,500.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just like, because I'm starting to think to myself, I mean, if one of those things happen, if the Juniper is outstanding,
Yeah.
it's probably, 30, 40, 50, it might take a couple of days to get there as people learn about it, but it's probably worth 20, 30, 40 points.
Right, right.
If the 2.5 is any good, Gary Black alone is going to raise the price 20, 30,
Yeah.
40. I mean, you
Yeah.
still look at the
So the
smaller,
big ones are the full unsupervised robotaxi
right?
at scale. So a million cars doing robotaxi can get you $30 billion in profit in the year, right? So, and then you potentially could get to 2 million vehicles, right? And pretty quickly. And then by the end of the year, 4 million before you have to do an upgrade of the chips in order to get more vehicles out there. So each one of the million vehicles gives you $30 billion. We had $10 billion in net income, this year. So by fully solving that, you can very rapidly get to a 3x, 6x of the revenue. Energy and having some other stuff that could give you another bit of profitability. But then also the whole margin being so much higher means that I go from 20% margin now back to 30%, maybe up to 60% margin, 70% margin. So having the huge margin, growth, margin, and actual profit growth means that they could justify like 100 PE because they've gone to an electronics company, gone to a SaaS company. You justify huge margin. So the margin expansion could get you there. So then the growth and performance of so those things all what you talked about for the first 3 months is like solving robotaxi and getting the others to do license means that both the forecasted revenue growth, actual revenues, and then where it's going to go clearly becomes super sharp. It's like, okay, it's going to, triple for each of the next 3 years. So then the 10x is very certain, right? So that's why it would just like bolt up, even though, the actual earnings did not increase, right? Or only went up to, I don't know, 4 billion or $5 billion of net income. It was only went up 50% more than the last quarter. But it's like what was in it and how much margin there was and how much you have to expect going forward, that's where it's like, it's like NVIDIA, when it goes up 10x, it went up triple. It was guiding to that by Q4, they would have, 3 times more revenue, right? They didn't believe it, but it was that kind of thing that was, okay, well, now I got to get in. Could you just,
Okay, so I think you and I have talked about this before, but maybe not. So we know that there's 7 million cars worldwide, I guess, right now, Tesla cars on the road.
Tesla guy? Yeah.
They're going to make at least 2.3 next year.
Mhm.
So now you're getting very close to 10 million cars on the road. We have no idea right now how many of those people will put their cars out for robotaxi. I'm assuming also, because I'm an optimist, that the UN, China, Euro, and the United States will all have the regulations in place, and Tesla will easily pass all the regulatory issues because why wouldn't they? I mean, it's going to be safer than a human before Elon lets it go. So he'll be able to prove it's safer than a human. And then I don't think there's going to be any issue. So I'm just going to be super optimistic that by June, by the time that Elon wants to roll it out, it'll be worldwide. The rollout can be worldwide. Whether it's worldwide or whether it's just the United States or whether it's just California, it matters, but it doesn't matter a ton.
Mhm.
If it's only a 5% of the owners who turn their cars loose, so 5 times 7, 35,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, 35,000. Yeah,
No,
35.
let's see. 70,000 is 1%. So it'd be 350,000. It'd be 5%.
350,000. So if only 350,000 turn it on, push the app worldwide, and then those 350,000 go out there, and it's obvious within a month that there's a demand for double that, and more people don't start putting their stuff out there. Does Tesla crank up the volume at the factories and start putting out their own fleet like as fast as they possibly can?
Yes, they would do that. So also, it would be people would be wanting to buy them. Like, some person
Fleet,
like myself might
yes.
say, okay, I will buy 10 vehicles and I will get them out there to do something, right? Or, the other people who are running Ubers, a fleet of Ubers, like people running 10, 20 vehicles, would suddenly see the opportunity and they would step up. So whether Tesla does it or whether a flood of people
Entrepreneurs.
see the entrepreneurs see the incentive and say, "Oh yeah, I got to get them," right?
Right.
So then the demand for the vehicles will spike, whether it's Chinese makers, whether it's entrepreneurs here. It's just like all the people who step up to run Airbnbs or something like that. It would be like boom, the opportunity of like pure cash. Okay, I can do it. I'm gonna get the loans. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get those vehicles out there, right? So that if they solve it, the demand will be there.
Right. I've been saying that for a while, and I'm not sure everybody agrees with me, Brian. So it's
Yeah.
lovely to have you agree with me. I always like somebody agree with me. Besides
Yes. So
besides my mom.
yeah, yeah.
She's 98 and a half. What does she know? I don't. So
Mom's a very intelligent person. I haven't met her, but I'm sure she's a very intelligent person. So I believe that it's gonna that uh, um the financial signal will be so clear
yeah,
that you can make a crap ton of money, that people will step up. It would be again, it's like people lining up to do it. It's like, it's like, okay, here's free money, $10,000 a month, $5,000 a month. Who wants free money? It's like, no, I don't believe it. It's like, so
yeah.
then the people will,
It's usually the other way. The entrepreneurs that I know are like, oh, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to go get one.
right, right,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll find out whether it works or not later.
yeah,
Okay, let's see. In addition to that, today we have, I want to talk to you about the economy.
yeah.
So I know, we're almost 100% aligned on the politics. So we both have a great feeling about Trump. We have a
Mhm,
great feeling about the Doge Commission that's going to be coming in there.
mhm.
So all of that kind of stuff is very cool. How have you felt so far about the cabinet selections and about the kinds of things that have been suggested by all the incomers, all the folks that are, getting ready to launch next January 20th? Are you feeling highly energized by what's going on?
Yeah, I'm very positive that the selections are good. Um, One or two that might not be the best, but it's these things happen. My main concern is with the Mitch McConnells and such in the Senate. So there's about three or four of those guys, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, that kind of thing. But I'm anticipating the Trump mandate to override that, and that they'll be experienced and figure out how to get around those issues. And um, at worst case, there's a negotiation there. You know, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Thune, they're doing things for a particular reason.
Yeah.
And so the negotiation to be had there, and Trump will negotiate and get whatever needs to be done so he gets what we want to have happen mostly. and then there'll be some compromise, and we'll find out exactly what those few guys need to do it. If they knock out some cabinet appointments, there's two things. One is not everything need the cabinet need the Senate confirmation. Two, you can do um, the recess appointments if you need to. So, but I think Trump wants to not necessarily go there to expend the capital, the political capital
Right.
to do certain things. But the cabinet, all his choices now, like he's had a long time to vet them out, figure out who's going to be a real assistant to them. Some of the people are concerned about, oh, they're um, appointing certain neocons, and he's saying that he's or warmongers, and he's going to negotiate peace. It's the I'm gonna get this guy who's like a pit bull, and I'm gonna go negotiate with the Ukraine and Putin and say, oh, I'm the good cop. This is the bad cop. You have to. So it's a negotiation thing that I think that's happening. So anyway, so I'm highly confident that's all going to work out.
All right, so I'm on record as saying that I think that we're kind of in a slow period right now. The Beige report yesterday suggested that. The job numbers this week kind of suggested that. Bond markets finally even relaxing a little bit, the yields have come down the last couple of days. But that by March 1, April 1, it's going to be gangbusters. And you think?
I'm very bullish about the economy. I think that unleashing the technology innovation, and it's not just Elon, but by deregulating fast and in a hurry, um, saying full green light to um, the energy markets and for the stuff, those things are going to be a huge boost to the economy. And also, like talking to business people, people are very positive about that. Like if you look at All In Podcast, those billionaires, BG2, the people who are making the business decisions are very upbeat about what's going to happen. So that will help lift things up. And I think that the first 100 days of the administration, a lot of stuff is going to happen that's going to really be encouraging to the economy.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna get wilder and wilder. I mean, right now you've got, Elon and Vivek, moving around town and Elon with his kid on his back.
Yeah.
Going through the halls of the Senate onto another meeting. It's gonna get wilder and wilder in that first 100 days, as you point out. I think it's just gonna be so much fun to watch. Grab your popcorn. It's gonna be something else. All right, let's take a look at the numbers together. Unless you got anything else you want to say about
No.
okay. All right. What we've got Tesla. Of course, we already know this was up $11.56. I'd count that as $12 if you don't mind. I'll round up.
Okay.
Okay. The Dow Jones was down 248. It was flat all day, and then it just, kept on going down, 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 down. Ended up down 248. NASDAQ down 34, and S&P down 11. The Mag 7 was mixed. And Cathie Woods were all down, nope, all down. At the end of the day, they were all down. All right. If we pull into the bonds, we now do have the pre-market. So the 10-year is unchanged in the pre-market. There you go. But it's at 4.182. So my number is always 4.25. Anything under that, I consider to be starting to soften. So 4.182 for me is a good number. The 2-year is at 4.148, up just a tad in the pre-market, and the 1 month is up 3.1 basis points in the pre-market at 4.469. Getting very close. All of them are all very, very close together. Sometime those short terms are going to have to go back to normal again, and they haven't done it yet. Any thoughts with regard to the bond market? Do you think first of all, do you think the jobs report tomorrow will be different than expected? Are you looking for a big last month we had the 12,000 or something from after the after the crazy number the month before and then all the big adjustments? Are we going to be at a normal number this time? Are we going to be crazy, or do you have any theories?
My theory is that they might have less motivation to fudge the numbers because they don't have to prop up a particular administration. So then they could start putting out more about what really is happening, which could be the slowdown. But then you have Christmas and some temporary job things. So um, I'm not sure then what happens. I'm not expecting huge swings there, but I could be surprised. The December 18th, I expecting that to be the quarter point cut. I think they did keep.
You think the quarter point's still in?
I think the quarter point's still in. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm I'm hoping that there's you know nothing's really gone screwy. I haven't noticed anything particularly you know different about anything in terms of the data I'm seeing, in terms of anything else. So I'm expecting things to be relatively straightforward, like not great, not bad, just kind of is what I'm expecting. Yeah.
All right. Just I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I think that's probably, again, that's kind of how I'm thinking. I mean, I've been saying that the recession started June 1st,
Yeah.
and the numbers aren't bearing that out, at least yet.
Hmm.
And I'm not giving up, but it's starting to look more and more like, no, there's not going to be, there hasn't been, but there is a feeling right now in the numbers actually that it's a little slow the last month or so, even in the sectors that were hot. So we'll see. Time will tell. I agree with you. I do think that Fed will still go ahead with their quarter point cut. I think there's zero chance there's one in January.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's my current thinking.
Yeah, they would have cut a full percent, waiting to see what happens.
Right,
Could be especially because, you know, then you change administration,
right,
and so yeah, not getting ahead of it. Yeah.
right. Okay. And then oil is an interesting one because again, with the new administration, we know that it's drill baby drill.
Mhm.
We also know that Argentina is drilling the heck out down there. So they went from 300,000 to 500,000 barrels already. And they're
Mhm.
saying they're going to go to 1 million barrels a day under 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐢𝐥. Uh,
Okay.
and so that's significant. See, I mean, going from 300 to 500,000, that impacts, world numbers, but you go
Mm.
from 300,000 to 1 million barrels a day. Now you're seriously impacting world numbers. So the Saudis, I forget when they're meeting. I thought they were meeting this week, OPEC. Uh,
Mhm.
but I haven't, OPEC. Okay, here it is. The headline. OPEC delays the production increase. All right.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but it had zero effect on pricing. So
Right.
pricing
Right.
was absolutely flat. So OPEC is losing their influence
Right.
between
Right.
the massive amount that the United States and Canada are putting out, and now with Argentina increasing, they're losing their influence.
So when you switch supply by plus minus 2 million, that is where the prices can go really wonky. So getting a 700K move per day, that's, as you say, very significant. It's one third. Because if you go from like undersupplying by 2 million, you're at like $140 a barrel. If you're oversupplying by 2 million, then you're at
40.
20, $30 a barrel, right? So that $100 price swing, that 4x price swing is by this plus minus 2 million, which was whole marginal production thing that OPEC was supposed to address so they can control prices by swinging up and down. But if the US steps up with another 2 million increase, then they can become more the marginal producer um, and affect world market. Then they'll having the extra capacity means that we could say push out countries we don't like, Iran, Venezuela, and say, okay, no oil production from you, and with prices don't increase because we make more oil, we get oil. So the prices stay profitable for everyone, but we just force out some people that we don't like. It gives us more negotiation room to say, behave, or we will totally wreck your oil economy there.
And this oil and natural gas thing is a big part of my thesis for the economy going gangbusters next year. is if we get the oil, if, right now we're sitting at 68.40 for Texas Intermediate. If we're talking 58.40, which would mean that the oil companies would still make money, not as much, obviously, but they'd still be making money, but the economy would just, it's again, like a big tax reduction.
And there's also a bunch of like using natural gas and oil to make other products, like slightly more advanced things, graphene, chemical products and other things, these precursors to more complex stuff. That a lot of that had gone to China, but if the U.S., sets up the trade barriers and stuff like that, that production of those increased value from natural gas and oil means that the U.S. economic strength would increase because you're um, domesticating more of that those critical things in the economy, and then you can continue to then build up the economy from there. Like, because China's production makes so much of the world stuff because it's cheap labor, but then if I have cheap energy, I can offset some of the cheap labor. And if I also then have more automation,
Right.
then my production costs could actually become competitive, right? Especially with say then within the range of a tariff, right? Where I can say, okay, now bring it all back. You're not going to lose money. Bring it all back. We're going to have it all good and non-inflationary. I'm not going to increase the prices of things because we are making it here, making it more efficient, blah, blah, blah.
So when Trump told China that he's going to put all these tariffs on, China went back and says, "Well, you're not going to get any rare earths then." Have you
Mhm.
been paying any attention to how fast America could get enough rare earths being mined here to where we wouldn't care about China? Because I know we've got them in the ground. It's only a matter of getting them out. Uh,
Yeah.
you have a theory on if we threw regulations aside, if we made it into a Manhattan Project, would it be
Mhm.
still 5 years before we could produce a lot of rare earths, or could we do it sooner?
I think you can do it in a year or two. I think
Okay,
it not that long because one is you can go at it many different ways. I can um, engineer things so I don't need as much of something they don't have, right? So if I can, like just like people say, oh, if EVs will be too expensive because it's too much copper, Tesla figured out how to use 10 times, 50 times less copper in the wiring of the vehicle. So then that totally changes what you would assume would be needed. They got rid of the cobalt. So you can do things around that technology by figuring out here's how we switch and get to not use that thing. And then the other thing would be going around the world and saying, where do we need to develop it? Maybe it's Australia, maybe it's Canada, and then work that out and then come in with the investment to make that happen. And then deregulating to say not make it difficult, not toss on an extra 2, 3 years to do it. Let's just do it now and permit that to happen. So I think with a Manhattan style project type thing, or not even Manhattan project, it'd be more like um, military mobilization, like
Mhm.
military mobilization, where like, okay, I'm going from non-war to war status. I'm going to gear up the economy to do this thing. So I can gear up the economy to achieve this goal. So by mobilizing to deal with the rare earths, you could, you know, address a lot of it in a year and maybe within two to do that. The other thing is that China says, okay, blah blah blah, we're gonna keep rare earths from you. Trump wouldn't necessarily go at where they're strong and I'm weak. He's not going to say, I'm going to negotiate on that. I'm going to go over here to this other part where I'm strong and you're weak. And then I'm going to put the screws to you here where you're weaker and then say, and you're going to let that off. I've got your arm. I'm going to break it. I'm breaking your fingers. I broke another finger. Are you going to let go? And so then he'll make China let go of the rare earths by breaking the finger somewhere else.
And I suppose, just like you and I are having the conversation here, and who are we?
Yeah.
It doesn't take very much for Elon Musk to say to Trump, by the way, we could have these rare earths in a year and a half.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Don't worry too much about it.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So yeah, so along those lines, my app just went complete. Here we go. So we have the natural gas, not very volatile right now, but but down from where it was. It's only $3.08 right now, so that's pushing down towards $3 again. But natural gas is heavily reliant, according to my sources, heavily reliant on what the winter seems like it's going to be. And so maybe a mild winter is ahead, although everything we've seen so far looks like it's pretty bad out there, at least in the Northeast and the Midwest. Okay, gold, pretty flat, $6.50 up, 2,654. So it must have been down today. But it's pretty much in the range it's been. Any thoughts on where you think gold goes next?
Gold and Bitcoin, I think going higher. That's the currency, I think going down, it seems more likely. Not a straight line per se, but like generally trending that way that the currency is going down. If we get the huge Doge thing to take out $1.2 trillion, then maybe that starts stabilizing. I don't think it goes back to some really low number. Bitcoin also has the advantage of that Trump could choose to. I think he's talking about having the U.S. buy like 1 million Bitcoin, having a Bitcoin reserve, that kind of thing. So that could be done for like $600 billion, something like that. To get a large amount of it, and that would there's only 21 million Bitcoin possible. So if they do that, then it pretty much would say all nations need to do that, right? So, and gold, same thing. I think that having that as this other reserve thing, because it's gone up like what, double over the last year or two, something like that.
It's been a great investment. I don't have any, but it's been a great investment. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had mostly China, South Korea, third country, I can't remember, Turkey. Anyway, there's like 3 countries that have been buying it like crazy for their central reserve, but they've also had their populations buying it and because the Chinese, well, you should know better than anybody about, because you pay attention to this, is that the Chinese population, they lost real estate as their primary way to save, and so they've gone to gold and are buying actual gold. So to your point on Bitcoin has bounced off of its 104,000 was the highest I saw it last night. But it is now down to 97.2. So not shockingly that there would be some profit taking. There are those who've looked at this past trends, and Bitcoin could drop 70% and then begin this. If it dropped 70%, it would have still had a good year.
Right. I think it's going to keep going up. People will be profit taking, but I think within 3 months, 140, 150K per Bitcoin, I think is there. The administration is favorable to it, and so they will do a bunch of things, which I can't see a long term, like the next a big down drop like to 70%, a big pullback, given the fact that we're transitioning to this very favorable regulatory and certain financial moves that look like they're going to happen, right? So I can't see it dropping and staying down. It could pull back, but I can't. It's a buy the dip kind of thing. I can't see it staying down.
Okay, all right. And then we've got the equities for tomorrow. Not much change. Dow is down 22 or 0.05. S&P is down 5.25 or 0.09. And the NASDAQ is down 17 or 0.08. So the directionality there is not really very helpful in terms of tomorrow. I did not look. Let me go back and tell you, at almost the close of after hours, Tesla is down 60 cents in the after hours. So holding on to almost all of that $12 from today. So that's our report for today. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Brian Wang?
No, things are going good.
All right. Well, we've got Cern Basher following. So this is Cern's Day, Thursday. And as most of you know, I've switched the other show for the day, what used to be in the middle of the day, now is at 7:45 California time. So come on back at 7:45 to watch Cern. And Brian, do you have a Cybertruck bottle opener?
Cybertruck Bottle Opener, no, I have not gotten one.
You don't have one.
No, I have not. Sorry.
I'll have to send you one. You know,
That'd be great. Yeah.
you need to have one.
I need to have one. Yeah.
And everybody needs to have one. So please,
Yes.
get orders in. I got another order.
Definitely for Christmas, need to have that bottle opener. What are you doing without it? Yeah.
And then you can give them away to all your friends, family, and everybody else. And another order came in today. I don't know if it was more than one, but at least one order came in today. So keep those orders coming. It's getting really close to Christmas. You want to get the orders in soon. And remember, you can wrap them. It's not exactly right. You could put any decoration. If you buy 6, you can put any decoration you want on there. You can put your company name. You can put some funny thing about Christmas. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do for just 6. Think about that. And we'll help you with the art. If the art is the issue, I've got an artist on my staff. We'll help you with the art. No problem. Okay, Brian, again, thank you so much for people need to go and watch him. And not even more than watch, they need to go. You need to go. If you haven't ever done it, go over to nextbigfuture.com, the #1 science blog in the known universe. And I mean, that's in terms of number of people visiting. Brian puts up 3 stories a day about stuff that's happening all over the world. You need to go check that baby out. Brian?
Okay.
All right.
Thank
and
you.
all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.